New Japan held its Tanahashi final homecoming event on Sunday. So we talked a little bit about this on Saturday night's main event review. So you can go back, listen to our thoughts on Saturday night's main event. We'll talk a little bit about this card from Sunday, which one takeaway from New Japan at this point is that this company it's cold at the moment, but I watch these cards and they are really trying to populate it with a lot of there are so many young lions now coming up their system to the point they're even talking about the fact of we're going to have a young lions cup at some point. There's going to be some excursions because there's just so many of them. And that does leave me both with optimism and pessimism. Optimism in the sense that I like when you see new blood and it's young talent and it's a fresh wave of talent coming in. The pessimism is that I have seen so much great talent cultivated in New Japan that have become Master Wato and Sho Tanaka that there is that concern as well of we can take some great talents and all it takes is one acid trip of a character and my God, do they commit to these characters long term? And thus, here we are, a decade of evil.
But sometimes these acid trips create people like Yudo Ice and Oscar, who are doing fantastic.
Yudo Ice has been a revelation this year, and man, they are really getting behind this guy. That was one of the featured parts of this show. So the main event saw Konosuke Takeshita retain the championship against Hiroki Goto, who was as much of a placeholder challenger as you could possibly have. I did not think, we'll talk about this later, but I don't think there was a lot of smart money coming in on E Honda to secure this championship from Konosuke Takeshita. So
there wouldn't have been if it was anybody in this position.
No, this was a very tough title defense here in November to set up the Tokyo Dome. And Goto got his rematch, or at least his chance to go for the IWGP title. 24 minutes, 20 seconds they went. Goto worked very hard in this match. Certainly this was the most significant match he's had in months. They had a very, very good match, ending with, Goto brought out the Shotenkai, the Kaiten off the turnbuckle, but ended up falling to the Raging Fire. And Takeshita thanked Goto for preparing him for the Tokyo Dome. This was like a light sparring match that he had to prepare himself for January 4th, and then asked, who has the courage to step up to face me at the Tokyo Dome? So we've come a long way from having to go through the most grueling tournament in all of pro wrestling, the G1, for that shot at the title at the Tokyo Dome. Now, who's got the guts? Who's got the balls to face me? And the man with the testicles was Yota Tsuji, who came out and after defending his IWGP Global Heavyweight title, he goes face-to-face with Takeshita, who on this occasion, it is now the New Japan native against the outsider, Takeshita. Champion versus champion, title versus title at Wrestle Kingdom 20.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were kind of telling that story with the Goto match as well, on commentary at least, and I think it's an easy one to get behind. Certainly, having Takeshita be somebody who's kind of halfway in here, halfway in, or mostly in, you could argue, with AEW, holding that championship. To have somebody like a Yota Tsuji, who I think a lot of people wanted to see in this position anyway, represent New Japan as somebody who's fully come up through his system. Essentially, this was very much a passing of the torch match he had with Hiroshi Tanahashi on the show, beating Tanahashi in his final match in his hometown. To have him go up against Takeshita to try to basically rescue the championship from the outsider, I think is a very satisfying story and a great way to, position what many are considering the top act of the new generation to be pushed into that, position.
Has your thought changed at all? You brought this question up yesterday about what closes Wrestle Kingdom, and I think our obvious candidates it's either this match or the Tanahashi retirement. Do you feel strongly one way or the other about what is, when you're constructing this show, what's the best closing moment? Is it Tanahashi, or is it with your guys that will be carrying your year ahead?
So I think Tanahashi will be losing the match, and for that reason I'm kind of reconsidering it, and I think him losing that match will be such a down note that to have somebody like a Yota Tsuji essentially sort of like play or just like a good guy, to send the crowd home happy, to me makes a bit more sense. I think you're guaranteed a higher quality of match, even though I think the drama in the Tanahashi final match will probably just be through the roof. I think you're going to have a lot of people that will want to see Tsuji just, again, avenge or just like make New Japan feel like it's has an ambassador again, through a win here. So I could see this match closing.
Could Masahiro Chono come in for an impromptu exhibition and put over Tanahashi, and then you get at least a happy moment at the end?
Why don't we just have Chono stand by for like the final match of everyone's career? Yeah.
Yes. I don't think anything will approach the drama of Muto realizing I can't hit the moonsault again. I don't think we're going to get a high fly flow hesitancy.
Well, we're about to talk about some really great retirement matches, aren't we, for this week's Rewind Away? Cheap plug. But we'll see. That was a great one. We'll see if this Tanahashi match, whoever his opponent is, will match up.
I didn't choose the Muto one because we all had to pick matches for this retirement comp that we're doing on Thursday for Rewind Away because it just felt like so recent. But like honestly, that is one of my favorite wrestling retirement matches because I thought they did such a magnificent job. Like Muto, like really was spectacular in this match for what you wanted it to be.
It was a Mickey Rourke, Randy the Ram moment, like captured in perfect illustration through that moonsault. But yeah, Tanahashi I think represents a very similar type of like broken down body who's trying to just squeeze every drop out of his physical frame out. So we'll see what sort of match he has. And I mean, ultimately it comes down to the conversation of who his opponent will be.
Did you get to see the Tsuji Tanahashi match?
I did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what did you? I shared my thoughts last night. I thought this match was excellent. It was my favorite match on this show, and I thought this was of kind of the final run of Tanahashi matches. Like to me, this was like the top tier of the matches. I just thought they did a really great job of Tanahashi. Like they gave enough kind of hope spots in this match. We got we got a couple of Vladimir Guerrero, Ernie Clement, right to the warning track type of near falls with Tanahashi, just coming up a little too short. A few lodged balls, a couple challenges that don't go our way, and that was the right outcome here with Yota Tsuji, the Dodger.
I thought it was a beautiful match. Yeah, absolutely. Like this is the period where I think we're getting into like some of the best drama of somebody's retirement run, and this match I think certainly provided that with somebody in Tsuji who like is looking to be the new ace, or according to him not the new ace but somebody who will exceed Tanahashi. I thought the match itself was beautiful and just like continuing to showcase what despite like what he can't do well, he could still do a lot really well. He could jump off the top rope pretty well, and as long as you can jump off the top rope for those multiple high fly flows, you can tell some sort of story, and his timing and his selling are still impeccable. So I have no doubt that actual final match at the Tokyo Dome will probably be even better than this, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, just some of Tanahashi just willing himself to fight back. I mean, to me, that was like the drama of this match, that I do not have a doubt that Tanahashi will be able to just produce a really epic retirement match just through all of the skills that he still operates at a high level. It's like the physical part is just one element of what makes this guy such a special wrestler.
But for Tsuji, like, I mean, he really does feel, I think at this point, to me, very complete, as a wrestler, as a personality, as somebody who like does feel like he should be the new ace of this company. So this was really the perfect match to set him up for that main event challenge.
Yeah, he gave the speech afterward where he said that, they did this great video package before the match where it was, Tsuji was like into football, and it was Tanahashi that kind of steered him toward pro wrestling. So they had, again, folks, always take photos at a young age with people you're going to eventually work with down the road. It always works out for a video package. But says that he's chased, and the fact was he was finally able to beat the ace here and wants to surpass everything Tanahashi has done. It's okay for you to leave. You can leave New Japan to me. And then Tanahashi just says, "This is my show, and I lost." And the ball is now in Tsuji's court, and he thanks Gifu. And as he is going through his speech, out comes Yudo Ice. November on the Post Wrestling Cafe will include Rewind Away, looking at some of the biggest retirement matches in pro wrestling history with selections from All Japan Pro Wrestling, WWE, and Stardom, among others. Plus, we'll have reviews of TNA Turning Point, UFC 322 from Madison Square Garden, and the Tanahashi Final Homecoming. John and Wei will be taking all of your questions on this month's installment of Ask Away, and John gets together with Brandon from New Jersey for a Season 4 retrospective of 90210. All that and so much more. Join now at postwrestlingcafe.com. $6 gets you in the door. Out comes Yuto Ice, who interrupts. He wants the singles match for next weekend, the New Japan Roadshow in Anjo. And Tanahashi says, "I am your senior," and refers to him not as Yuto Ice, but Nakashima. And says he promises, Yuto promises to bring out the scariest version of Tanahashi. So on a week's notice, we will get Ace versus Ice.
I love that. I love that tag.
I love this character so much of Yuto Ice. Like, he's just this prick asshole. And I'm really curious how they booked this one. Like, part of me thinks that you are kind of like pushing things if you're just going to have Tanahashi lose to all these people on the way out, and you don't want to kind of, I'm more a fan of like, you pick the one big person, and Tsuji was like this big significant kind of passing of the torch moment. But I'm really curious. Like, this is one of those scenarios where Yuto Ice, like, this is the biggest match of his career. And this feels like one that they are almost shoehorning into the schedule. Like, this is just this one-off New Japan Roadshow that they only added to the schedule a couple of weeks ago. More than anything, I think it tells you just what they see in Yuto Ice. Like, this is not just fans in a bubble online that have really gravitated toward this guy. Like, they put the tag belts on him. Like, I kind of am looking at 2026, and as much as this is going to be such a year that everyone's focused on Aaron Wolf, it's like, quietly, this is the guy I'm watching next year to see what he is doing, and is someone that's, you know, kind of breaking through and was not on anyone's list of that native star to kind of break through the pack.
I think a bit of a blessing that, like, he managed to come back from excursion at the time that he did, and managed to catch fire with this tag team the way he did, so that you can justify putting this match on towards the end of the calendar and having the fans, in particular in this crowd, who I think, like, the significance between these two is that they're both from this area. So that was sort of like a, almost a thematic thing onto its own. In fact, they went to the same high school or something. Isn't that what they said?
Yeah, they went like years apart, obviously, but yes. I believe, that's the case.
But two generations of stars from the same area, basically. And but like, I wonder if this was ever the plan, for him to have this match like earlier in the year, or if it was just that they recognized this person is suddenly really hot. We have great plans for him in the future. Let's try to cram this in while we can. Despite that, though,
I think, Wade, if they had this like big idea for a Tanahashi Yuto Ice match, like, this would have been the match happening in Gifu for that very reason. Like, it does kind of feel like this is sort of a spontaneous match that they want to get in before January 4th.
But despite that, I think Tanahashi should win this one. I think you need to give him some credibility before he heads into that final match, so that you can convince the audience that, hey, he's catching fire, he's still capable of beating the young guys, and he might win this final match into retirement.
It's the match that Yuto Ice should take him to the limit, and this is like a really spectacular singles breakout performance, but he just comes up short against the ace. And it's the idea, Tanahashi, he's near the end of the road, but he's not at the end of the road yet. Pardon the pun of the New Japan Road naming convention here.
Might be Tanahashi's final win of his career.
Certainly.
Singles,
like, this is probably his last singles match before January 4th. And what was also brought up by Karen with Bruce as well is the fact that in Anjo, the hometown of one Kazuchika Okada, what could that mean?
Very interesting.
Because you have to look at next week's show. Like, they've done the deal with Geto, where he has stated that he will arrange for the final opponent. I would think, like, this, the fact we didn't get the reveal of the opponent on this show, it should be after this Yuto Ice challenge that we know that opponent next week.
Yes. At this point, I think Okada, like, knowing Takeshita's direction for Wrestle Kingdom, I feel like Okada might be my favorite to have that Tanahashi match. At the same time, they are still like the Nakamura sort of mentions and references are still out there. Tanahashi did the landslide in this match. Could it just be like, do they risk disappointing the crowd? I don't necessarily think so if it's Okada being announced.
Well, Nakamura's he's maybe shooting for multiple retirement matches as he has entered the tournament as well. Anyway, the rest of the show, Sho and Doki won the Super Junior Tag League, beating Taiji Ishimori and Robbie X. So they went with the idea of keeping Sho and Doki undefeated as the junior heavyweight tag champions, and they ran the table in the tag league. So they're trying to build this dominant team, but you've also got no challengers for them coming out of this tournament. So you kind of just have to throw something together. It kind of feels like the a WWE tag division.
Can you see an outsider team from another promotion coming in for this match?
No, I imagine we're going to get a multi-man team with Ishimori and Robbie X and the Ichiban Sweet Boys. Like I could see like a 3-way tag, like which it'll probably be a spectacular match, but you've built up nobody for this. So I found this year, like I usually enjoy the Super Junior Tag League above the World Tag League. But for a lot of reasons, and Oscar and Yuto Ice being one of them, I'm more interested in the World Tag League this year because this Super Junior Tag League, I caught a good portion of it. There was some good wrestling, but they didn't accomplish a whole lot coming out of it beyond like we've got this House of Torture clamp on the belts with these two together. And the rest of the show, you can get all of the rundown from Karen Peterson and Bruce Lord over on the Post Wrestling Cafe. Moving on.
You can also get Bruce Lord's thoughts on the Blue Jays loss, which, I mean, if you thought it was kind of depressing, maybe hearing us talk about it, I feel so bad for Bruce, somebody who actually has been following like throughout the entire year. So thank you, Bruce, for doing the show despite, not the happiest boots on Sunday.
I'm sure he was making quite a few pours over the weekend.
Maybe.
All the best to Bruce. As well, when we had Evil after the 10-man tag holding up the never open weight 6-man tag titles, indicating House of Torture is going to go after those belts. We had Aaron Wolf get involved again, executing a judo throw and then hoisting up the never open weight title that Evil holds. So that's our first suggestion that their match gets elevated to a championship match, which why not?
Why not? Yes.
Why not? The never title. Mm-hmm. And we do have another match added for Wrestle Kingdom 20 because Stardom held its Crimson Nightmare pay-per-view today. And after Saya Kamatani retained her World of Stardom and Strong Women's Championship, she was challenged by Shuri, who entered the ring. Shuri is the IWGP Women's Champion, so keep this all straight. And she is issuing a challenge to Kamatani for another title versus title match at Wrestle Kingdom, which will be Kamatani's Strong Women's title against Shuri's IWGP Women's title. So we can add that one to January 4th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, first of all, like, I don't even think New Japan Strong even exists anymore. So this championship is really pointless. I mean,
this might be they might just absorb the title into the IWGP Women's title. Like you might as well at this point.
They absolutely should. I mean, one of these titles was created for Mercedes Moné, and the other, created for Kyrie or something. Anyway, they're irrelevant. You don't need two like of these crossover championships. And honestly, like they should really just be defending the Stardom belt at Wrestle Kingdom. But if you're going to consolidate them, that just kind of makes sense. And I think like this year, I mean, has really been the breakout year for Saya Kamatani, and for her to get this big match at this stage, where I'm assuming she's going to beat Shuri, I think is a wonderful showcase for Stardom. It's a wonderful showcase for her, and I'm quite looking forward to this one. I hope they slot it later on in the card rather than shove it earlier on like they've done in the past, because I hope there's a decent amount of fanfare for this, because it's one of the more interesting matches on the show, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Shuri and Saray had that incredible match at King of Pro Wrestling in October, and I would imagine like similar quality here. And this will be just a couple of days after the Dream Queendom show that is December 29th, where Kamatani defends the World of Stardom title against Saori Anu. So that's Stardom's big year-end show at Sumo Hall as well. That'll be happening as the all the year-end beginning of the year Japanese wrestling will be in full tilt.